A 2-dev passion project just stepped out of the vault and blindsided everyone. It doesn't have a publisher, a marketing budget, or even a release date you can circle. What it does have is a 4-minute trailer that nails the mood of classic Fallout with the raw speed of a 90s shooter. And it's got the whole internet whispering that this might be the most faithful, unofficial Fallout we've seen in years. The name is Fallout, Bakersfield, and it didn't arrive so much as re-emerge, after vanishing for years and then dropping a trailer that looks like it was cut for a stage reveal. It's not a remake, it's not a demake, it's a total conversion built on Jeezy Doom, the modern fork of the old Doom tech, where Fallout's grime, UI, and world building are stitched into a boomer shooter skeleton. You get crunchy 2.5D sprites. You get a HUD that feels like a love letter to the Pip-Boy. You get gore that doesn't flinch and weapons that punch. In motion, it's fast, it's filthy, and it just looks right in a way most throwbacks don't. That's the first hit. The second is what surfaces between the gunshots. Dialogue boxes slip into view, text callouts describe encounters. You pop open a stash and a new piece of gear drops in. It's the old CRPG DNA peeking through the muzzle flash, and once you see it, you can't unsee it. The trailer's structure is part of the spell. It opens like a slow pan through a forgotten diorama, bombed out streets, the hollow echo of a dead city, then pivots into gameplay with a confident snap like a curtain lift. That's not an accident. The music swings you through it, an Inkspot's era standard drifting in from 1946, and then those unmistakable Mark Morgan tones, the same atmospheric fingerprints you remember from Wasteland 2 and Fallout 2. Credits list them outright. The effect is simple. Your brain says, "This feels authentic," before your mouth can find the words. And what comes next would push that feeling deeper. Bakersfield isn't a random pin on the map. Longtime fans clocked it instantly. Pre-war Bakersfield became Necropolis, the ghoul-choked graveyard of Fallout 1. The trailer leans into that recognition without turning it into homework. A hulking mutant presence stalks the reveal, the kind of boss encounter anyone who ran Vault 13's early errands will remember in their bones. That's smart scope. If you're building a first-person vertical slice of classic Fallout, you pick a location that already hums with dread, that lets your lighting, your enemy barks, and your black humor item descriptions do the heavy lifting. Necropolis gives you all of that on a rusted platter. But the lore nod isn't just fan service, it's cover for something bolder. What if Fallout 1 had always been first person, and we just forgot? Here's the twist that keeps people talking. This isn't a studio team burning through milestones. It's Alexander Red 888 Guns Berezin and Dennis Berezin, two creators with a distinct art style and years inside Fallout's modding orbit, pushing this forward with a clarity that bigger teams sometimes lose. Their update in the trailer's tail puts progress around 60%, but the way they phrase it matters. Not a marketing checkbox, more like a snapshot of where each pillar stands. Creatures, environments, weapons, UI. It's transparent enough to be believable, vague enough to give them air. The date? A coy tease points to the back half of the decade. Some outlets read 2027 between the glyphs. No promise, just a horizon. And somehow, that makes it feel more real. Money? It's optional. The project is non-commercial, with donations funneled through Boosty if you insist, but the creators are blunt that funding isn't required, and monetization on their trailer uploads is off. That's not just indie purity, there's a legal heartbeat under it. Fan projects exist at the mercy of the IP holder, and while staying nonprofit doesn't grant immunity, it avoids the red flags that usually trigger fast takedowns. The message between the lines is simple. We're building this because we love it, not to sell it. For a community raised on the Scavenger's creed, that lands, but that wasn't the whole story. Because you don't keep eyes for 4 minutes on retro sprites without giving them something to chew on. Bakersfield packs texture into its moment-to-moment loop. Shotguns that splinter ghouls, a hand-animated heft to weapons that feels tactile, like you can smell the metal and oil, corners that invite cautious peeks. Then the text flickers along the bottom of the HUD, and you realize you're not just clearing rooms, you're rolling dice you can't see. Fallout's voice is in the asides. The descriptive lines give bite to the scenery and hint at checks behind the scenes. Even if the system never announces itself, it's nostalgia deployed with restraint, and what follows cracks that nostalgia open. The UI is a mashup that shouldn't work but does. Doom's readability with a Fallout-coded skin. It sits low and familiar, a green-tinted dashboard that tracks your health, your inventory pips, and the world's sarcasm as it tries to kill you. Every retro project lives or dies on legibility, and this one understands that you don't need 1,000 widgets when good font choices and micro animations tell the story. The same goes for the art direction. Edges are crisp, but not glossy. Sprites are detailed, but not so clean they lose grind. It's lo-fi in intent, high taste in execution. That balance is rare, and what happens next is where the scope question bites. Is Bakersfield a single, replayable campaign through Necropolis? A compact retelling of one Fallout arc? Or the first piece of a larger first-person anthology that marches through the 1997 map, one ugly landmark at a time? The developers keep that answer out of reach. That's the wise play. Locking scope early wins goodwill. Promising the moon invites mutiny. What they do give you is a rhythm. A teaser from 2022 to mark the series' 25th anniversary, silence long enough to be worrying, then a comeback reel with real meat on it. New AI behavior, better animations, layered environments, and those tiny story moments that earn screenshots. The quiet between updates now plays like focus, not drift, and that sets up the thorniest part of the conversation. Fan projects and corporate IP have a history that reads like a cautionary tale. People pour months into something personal and clever only to see it iced in a weekend. Bakersfield's creators aren't naive about that. The no profit line in their notes isn't an aesthetic, it's a strategy to avoid tripping the alarms that usually bring the lawyers. Still, the risk never drops to zero. If anything, the trailer's quality cuts both ways. It proves this mod deserves to exist and guarantees more eyes from the people who can end it. That tension is part of the fascination. You're watching something that feels like Fallout at its most honest, that also lives on borrowed time, and yet there's a reason hope sticks around. Part of it is timing. Fallout is hot again. New audiences discovered the world, old fans came back, and everyone's hungry for that early sardonic tone. Bakersfield feeds that appetite without pretending to be canon. It's not trying to replace anything. It's trying to remind you what you loved. When the ink spots croon over a pan across cracked asphalt, when the Morgan pads settle under a slow pullback, you can feel the design thesis make you remember. Memory is the real renderer here, and what that memory does next is paint possibilities. Imagine the format as a series, not a monolith with feature creep, but self-contained first-person retellings of key Fallout 1 beats, each one tuned for a lean, replayable evening's worth of chaos. Vault 15 as a claustrophobic crawl. The hub as a gunsmoke maze with branching errands that punish your greed. The cathedral as a final climb with moral landmines tucked in the pews. Bakersfield proves the grammar works. Dialogue snippets to seed choice, descriptive text to implied checks, loot to reward risk, and combat that never lets the screen go quiet for too long. If this slice lands, the template writes itself, but first, it has to ship. And shipping isn't just code, it's patience. Two people balancing art passes, level flow, encounter scripting, sound, UI, and the unseen grind of bug triage. It's community management without promising the earth. It's letting boosters toss in a few bucks while reminding them cash doesn't buy them a seat at the table. That last part matters. Keeping a fan project's center of gravity with the creators is how you avoid the when will it be done spiral. Bakersfield's notes point there. Support if you want, no pressure, non-commercial. The guardrails are up. The work can breathe. Now the audience just has to do the hard thing. Wait, under all the chatter though is a simpler reason this trailer detonated. It's fun to watch. The rhythm lands. The cuts have purpose. The sound choices glue scenes together so you feel like you're moving through a place, not a slideshow of set pieces. Little visual gags slide in, an exaggerated enemy silhouette here, a suspiciously friendly container there, so the tone stays wry even when the screen fills with gore. That tone is the franchise's secret weapon. Not grimdark, but grim with a grin. If you miss that flavor, Bakersfield brings it back in spoonfuls. And the next spoonful is the one the creators can't control. What happens if this releases and it's good? Not good for a fan project, just good. The best case scenario is simple. It lives, it inspires, and it nudges more teams, indie or otherwise, to dig into the elastic middle where old systems and new execution meet. No bloated tech, no feature list made by committee, just strong taste, tight constraints, and a clear target. When you watch Bakersfield in motion, you don't catalog shaders, you feel intent. The worst case is equally simple. A legal note ends the party. If that day comes, the trailer will still matter. It will have proven that a tiny focused team can bottle a beloved tone without copying it wholesale. For anyone taking notes, that lesson survives. Until then, the only question worth arguing about is the one the trailer plants in your head. If you could pick one classic location to get this treatment, which would you choose? The Boneyard Skeletal Skyline? Junktown's Barterpunk Sprawl? The Cathedral's Dreadful Hush? Drop your pick below and tell me why. I'll be watching for the most cursed itinerary, and if you want me to keep tracking Bakersfield's progress, the percentage bumps, the dev notes, the next music drop, I'll dig it up and bring it to you. Just remember, in this wasteland, patience isn't a virtue, it's survival.